In the meantime, you're not going to be able to go to work because you cannot afford the fare for the matatu or the Uber or what have you. That is the moment of truth. And that is what is coming. That is the chickens always coming home to roost. People are saying, why should I pay tax at this rate unless I am assured that there will be what Pluto Arapkirwa called better management of finances, that there is going to be a crackdown on corrupt practices, that you're not going to see people flaunting money. Because when you go with 30 million shillings or 10 million shillings and give it in cash, and somebody out there is hungry, yeah, and that money is going to maybe to construct, you know, not a road, not water, not something, but something that is not generating income to the normal Kenyan. Then that Kenyan asks, then what is it for? What is it for? So I think we have to balance very carefully. Taxes have to be paid. On that one, I support the president, then the executive 100%. But of course, we must balance it so that the ordinary Kenyan doesn't seem to suffer unnecessarily. But let that Kenyan also have not keep asking, why then are we paying so much taxes when money is going to people's pockets, when corruption is still rampant and nothing yet seems to be happening with all the efforts that have been put into it.
And on that note, take a look at what some of the leaders from Kalonzo Musyoka to Junet Mohammed and the Ekuru Court Third Way Party Alliance leader had to say on this issue.
I'm quite sure that the matter should be looked at differently, not a matter of the handshake. And so I also know a lot of undercurrents do occur on the floor of the National Assembly. There's a time when as a nation we must sit and reason together. So I would recommend that we listen to what Kenyans are saying, the cry, at least somebody give it to him. When it was 16%, the president was able to say, I have heard you. All right? And you can imagine the amount of agonizing he has gone through. Key issue, absolutely key. And it has the potential to perhaps even kusambaratisha nchi. Do you want nchi sambaratike kwa mambo haya? Afadhali tuvuke alafu tuzungumze. Ninaona mahakama moja imekataa mambo ya kuongezwa hizo gharama today. So again, independent courts, Kenyans have the recourse to the courts of justice. And I will stand as tall as I can possibly be in defense of an independent judiciary. Because that is where we can all run to. Kama hatuelewani kule kwa bunge na kwingineko, tuende mahakamani, ukinitolea ushuru, ongeza data sijui nini, internet itakuwa expensive, naenda mahakamani. Okay?
The above proposal, it is now evident that the proposed 8% VAT on petroleum and related products is unnecessary, and the government must adopt stringent financial discipline to shield Kenyans from their high cost of living. It is also apparent to us that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his administration is calling for help from ordinary Kenyans. This is because our elected representatives have failed to support the government. For example, why should members of parliament still hold on to the CDF kit when they know too well that it is unconstitutional and serves no purpose? The High Court had given them 12 months to fold out CDF. Why are they still holding on to it? So why punish weary Kenyans? Kenyans who do not have jobs. Unemployment rate in Kenya right now is at about 70%. And the levy they are levying, the 8% VAT, is on common goods that make Kenyans just go about living. Basic things. In other words, this law is actually oppressive on the masses. It's intended to suppress Kenyans even more.
ASA offers its conditional support for the initiative to cut VAT from the initial 16% to 8%. Our support is, however, conditional. We offer support for the VAT for a period of 1 year.
We have also realized that the president is at some predicament. Why? Because we are discussing revenue-raising measures late in the day when already the budget is up.
The United Kingdom have offered to repatriate corruption proceeds in their country. We need to see serious efforts by the government to follow those offers.
PG has also decided that our caucuses, the members of the Finance Committee and the Budget Committee, are going to form themselves into a caucus to look at these measures that we have proposed and see the ones that can be brought before Parliament in terms of legislation or in terms of proposals to cut the budget.
All right, so those are just some of the thoughts from a few of the politicians today in this whole scenario of oil as they prepare to vote today. Now, gentlemen, for the sake of argument, take a listen to this, all right? We have given President Uhuru Kenyatta 1,537 MCAs, about 359 MPs, another 57 governors and senators, rather. 47 governors and deputies. These are roles, these are offices, these are numbers that Kibaki did not have during his term. How then are we supposed to finance all of this? Reda, let me start with you.
Yes.
Do you think that the overrepresentation that I have just tabled is one of the key problems to this whole issue of taxation? Because you have all these people, they have offices, they have cars, they have people as well on their salary list?
No, I don't think overrepresentation and so on is part of the problem. The 1/3 of the national budget that we release to corruption would give us 3 times those number of MPs and MCAs and so on, but we release it to corruption. Then the other aspect, that is so problem number 1, corruption. Problem number 2, management. Management. People are elected to go and manage the economy, manage it well, so that we do not have the issue we are facing now. While we are having this abracadabra was 1-ton borrowing. Borrowed and did the SGR, but half of the cost was stolen.
Okay.
That is where the problem is. If we could just recover, we could just steal, but not so much. Let's steal 5% or 10%. It will still be all right. So management here is the problem that the president needs to look. He needs to put in place himself and the people who understand micro and macroeconomics, who will deal with it in a manner the way Kibaki dealt with it.
Okay.
It is not when Kibaki did not overtax people. He did not borrow too much, and there was a stability. When we were ushering in this government, it was to be 10% double-digit growth. Now we are at 3%, 2.5%. All this is about management, not MCAs.
Okay, so
or
Honorable
MPs.
Kimbi, you don't think that overrepresentation has contributed to our kind?
The matter is this, that the new constitution is good, but it's actually a very expensive constitution.
That's the
to
thing.
implement. I mean, I think we have to accept that. And that's the reason I keep saying that 8 years down the line, we need to start revisiting that constitution. We need to see whether it is practical in our circumstances, whether we need to change certain aspects of it, whether we need to change, the systems that are there, the commissions or the constitutional commissions that are there and everything else. And I want to say this, that when we look at that constitution with a view to maybe going to a referendum, because I believe we are going to go to referendum myself,
yes.
The fact, and this is at the risk of repeating myself because I've said it here before, the fact that you are seeing the governors of Western Kenya come together to create one bank. You go to northeastern Kenya, northeastern province, or what is called northeastern, and they are saying we need to have one development agenda. Then you come to central Kenya, they are talking the same thing. They are saying we must revive the railway line to Nanyuki, and we must again think about development agenda for the central Kenya region together. What they are telling you is that the counties we have individually may not be viable. You see, one county may not be viable. So at the end of the day, you may find that we have 9 counties with 9 governors, for instance.
Right.
People may say that that will not reduce the cost because it will still be there, but it will be more practical to manage. Take Nigeria with 200 million people. How many regions does it have?
Provinces
36, I think.
Yes, yes.
Go to South Africa with a population of 56 million people. It has 9 provinces, 9 regions with 9 governors, 9, the equivalent of what we have in Kenya today. So I think we need now to be practical, and we need to go back to the drawing board. I believe this is a time, and I believe it is time now to have a committee of experts look again into this constitution and tell us the areas that we need to start looking and changing so that it's not as expensive as it is. But the current constitution as it stands,
and we don't
agreeing with whether that 30% is still going to corruption.
Right.
But I think whether it's being practical when it says that maybe we should steal at 5%, not at 30%. Because I think he knows that corruption will be there, but it should not be rampant. It's everywhere in the world, but it's not as rampant as it is here today.
And we don't have to wait for those 8 years. A referendum is coming. Perhaps IEBC will go back to the drawing board and redraw boundaries.
IEBC cannot. There are things the IEBC cannot change. The IEBC cannot reduce the number of counties. The IEBC cannot reduce the number of constituencies. They can reconfigure them, but they cannot reduce them from 290 from the current 290. Is it 290?
Yeah, 290.
Of whatever number. Yeah. So these are the realities that we have. Okay. And a referendum, in my view, whether before or after or with the elections of 2022, I reckon we have to do this thing.
Honorable Kipruto, your thoughts on the over-representation and budget?
Well, there are a number of things that really I must recap. The issue of stealing is very clear. 30% of our budget goes to waste every year. And this is what we can reduce on and therefore make Kenyans pay less. The other issue is what Mheshimiwa Kembi said much earlier, that we are taxing only 3.2 million Kenyans when there is a potential of taxing 19 million Kenyans. And this therefore means if we are to improve up to even 10 million, it will effectively mean we can be paying 5% of all the taxes and we are still raking in more money than we are raking in today. Why? KRA has decided to be lazy. They are going for things that they know they can just pick next door, fuel, VAT on practically everything that they can get, and also salaries on miserable people who are earning 50,000, 30,000, instead of going for every business person who is raking in almost 400,000 every month. Because they do not want to capture that in the formal sector, and they leave these people get scot-free.
All right, we cannot close off this conversation without not touching on the issue of social media and mobile data that Weda was already talking about. And I already gave an overview. Uganda are now taxing social media. Benin today, if their parliament decides to pass that, they will also be taxing social media. We've seen now taxation on mobile data charges here in Kenya being fronted. Is there an obsession with African countries on this, especially more so to limit the voices of people online?
Well, perhaps that may be one of the other reasons, because you see, when dictators get run amok in town, they just want not to hear an alternative voice. And it is very clear in Africa, corruption is a twin brother to dictatorship. When individuals become corrupt and they are getting money from the people, it reaches a time that some of the countries, the president were trying to lend money to the nation, having gotten so much from the people, and therefore the people's voice was suffocated. This could be a way of suffocating people's voices, but I think the primary reason is that it is easy to tax what can be traced.
All right, Weda, I'll let you have the last say because of time, and I want you to comment on that.
Let me tell you, addiction to phones and social media has been declared by the World Health Organization as another illness.
Okay.
The amount of opportunity cost, the amount of time that is being lost as people go through these things.
But how many businesses will be lost? Young people have
very few compared to the loss. I think if there is ready money to be picked by people who are wasting a lot of time and energy and then also becoming sick every day, it is in the social media. If I was president and I was Rotich and Uhuru, this is where I would have taken the 8%. Say 8% fuel, let me take it to social media. Because it's also a choice. My grandmother, my grandfather, 110 years old in the village. All these people, they are not addicted.
But a lot of young people,
the middle class, the rich ones.
Young people have used this as a source of income.
Very little income. Let us give a lot of income come from their farms.
All right, gentlemen.
So this is where the 8% should have gone. In fact, we found it.
We'll debate about that on another issue. Another day. I wouldn't let that one go. But gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Whether Honorable Kembe and Honorable Kipruto, it's always a pleasure to have you here with us. Before we can go on a short commercial break, remember online this morning we're asking you, do you think President Uhuru Kenyatta cares about the tax burden on Kenyans? A few of the comments. He does not care about the poor. This move shows clearly that we do not exist from the list of priorities or concerns. The question is, who are they representing? Another tweet says, he cares. We elected him. Choices have consequences. Kaka Ramadan, you say, I think the president is not caring about us. A person who is earning low or not earning, how will he cater for basic needs? Will employers increase